Welcome viewers to the final call. We continue with our health discussion. The seventh type of cardiovascular disease is aortic aneurysm. Aortic aneurysm. Aneurysm basically is defined as a dilatation, focal dilatation of an artery with at least 50% increase over the vessel's normal diameter. So the aorta, let's do a small anatomy. The aorta is the largest artery in the human body that maintains systemic circulation, delivering oxygen to virtually all the parts of the body. When you take the heart, it's divided into 4 chambers: the right upper and left upper. Then we have the right lower and left lower. Now, the aorta is situated at the left lower, which is the left ventricle. And it moves up, or it ascends, forming an arch before it goes down through your thorax or your chest, then into your abdomen. So the one that moves up, it gives off the coronary arteries that gets back to the heart to supply blood back to the heart. Then the arch also branches down. The arch branches down into your chest, and then it now disseminates or distributes blood down to the other parts of the body, your legs, your abdomen, and all that. So now, God has made it so beautiful that the aorta has a thick muscular wall, which comes in layers, 3 layers: the intima, the media, and then the adventitia. Let's go. Now, when there is an abnormality of the aorta, that is a dilatation of the aorta can burst. That dilatation will cause concentration gradient. It becomes very, very thin, which is liable to break. So the aorta can break. That bulge portion can break and then seep blood into your system, which can be an emergency. So ruptured aortic aneurysm can be very fatal, and most patients don't survive it. In the next few minutes, you are gone. So this is another type of cardiovascular disease. And symptoms like chest pain, high or low in intensity. Some may not even feel pain. They will be very calm, and you realize that they are going. Some will experience jaw pain. Some will experience tearing, shoulder pain, very severe pain in their shoulder. Some may collapse completely and all that. Some may even vomit blood. Some may have weakness and tingling sensations and all that. So that is that for the aortic. Then we go on to the valvular heart disease. Valvular heart disease. This also involves narrowing of the heart valves. When you take the chambers of the heart, every chamber has valve that regulates blood in and out. So when there is an issue, whether narrowing or leaking or looseness of a valve, there will be issue with blood flow. The heart can become congested or the heart can fail, and this may require surgery. So valvular heart disease is also a very critical one. The last example I want to cite for the cardiovascular disease is cardiomyopathy, which refers to a disease of the heart muscle itself. The heart muscle can be weak, can be diseased, and will not be able to pump blood. There are a whole lot of causes, which in due course we will talk about that. Now, let's look at common risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. I want to add stroke to it, which is cerebrovascular accidents, because that also accounts for about 10% of the cases. So what usually happens with the heart, same can happen in the brain. So if there is a plaque in the blood vessel that supply the brain in the cerebral arteries, it can deplete blood supply to the brain. The brain can die. The brain can be blood supply to the brain can be reduced, and its function will be obtained. So you realize that somebody will feel sudden weakness in a part, whether the arm, the mouth can twist, he can't walk, or all of a sudden he'll feel numbness, he can't move the hand and all that. So depending on the severity of the damage, it will be evident on your body. Yes. And with stroke too, it can be hemorrhagic. That is when pressure increases in the vessels in your brain, it can burst. So the blood vessels, which are so tiny, so delicate, if pressure increases in it, it can burst, and blood will leak in your brain. It becomes very fatal. The prognosis is very bad. You may lose it. That requires surgery. Without surgery, it can be corrected. So let's look at the common risk factors. When we say risk factors are potential factors that cause negative effect. So what do we do that will pose us, or that we may have a probability of getting cardiovascular disease and stroke? Number one, hypertension. Hypertension means high blood pressure. Hyper means high, tension means pressure. So high blood pressure. We will have time and delve a little into it along the line. Number two, diabetes mellitus, which is high blood sugar. Diabetes mellitus is also a condition that is of paramount importance to me when it comes to cardiovascular disease. It's one of the major risk factors. High blood sugar here means when you have a fasting blood, you fasted for 8 hours and more, you check your sugar, your blood sugar, and you are getting more than 7 millimole per liter. It means your sugar is getting high. You need to see your doctor to assess you well, to diagnose you, to put you on treatment and all that. Or if you've eaten and you check your sugar and it's more than 11.1 millimole per liter, that is also a red flag. Or you do a blood test called glycated hemoglobin, that is HbA1c, and it's greater than 6.5%. It's a clue that you are getting diabetes mellitus. And the annoying thing is, or the annoying thing I would say is, diabetes can damage your blood vessels. It can damage your nerves, the electrical aspect of your nerves. It can damage it. The nerves that control your heart, the electrical system of your heart, it can damage it. So you may lose it at any time. So those of us who complain so much of numbness and you feel like some foam under your legs and all that, there is this possibility. You need to check your sugar and do other investigations in the hospital for us to identify. Diabetes has a whole lot of complications, which some include neuropathy, as I talked about. Neuropathy. Neuro means nerve. Pathy means disease. So a disease of your nerves. Two, nephropathy. Nephro has to do with your kidney. So with the small diabetes you are getting, there's a likelihood you get a kidney disease. Then we have retinopathy. Retina has to do with the eyes. You may have issues with your eyes. Your sugar keeps going high. Then it can bounce back to the coronary artery disease and then the peripheral artery disease we were talking about, where your coronary artery, becomes blocked or accumulated with plaques. That causes reduction of blood supply to the tissues of the body. Another risk factor is dyslipidemia, or high fat in your blood, or high cholesterol in your blood. When we say high cholesterol, you do a blood test on an empty stomach and we realize your total cholesterol is high. depending on the lab's parameters or range, you will get a high HDL, which is the high density lipoprotein. If it's low, if the HDL is low, then it's not good. It means you are getting cholesterol issue. Or if the low density lipoproteins, which we term the bad cholesterol, the level is high, it is a red flag. Or if the triglycerides in the lipid profile is high, it is also a red flag. So hypercholesterolemia is also a risk factor for we getting cardiovascular disease. This means that we need to check our diet and fat intake, because these fats can cause the formation of plaques, as we said earlier, can line inside your blood vessel, your nerves, and obstruct circulation. You can get stroke, you can get heart attack, you can even go blind because of the blood vessel supplying the eye being blocked or being obstructed. Another cause or risk factor for cardiovascular disease is obesity. Overweight. Obesity, by definition, is when your BMI is greater than 30 kilograms per meter squared. You check your weight in kilograms, you divide it by your height in meters square. You do that calculation and you are getting 30 and above. It means you are becoming obese, excessively fat. If you check your BMI and it's 25 and above, you are overweight. It means you are leading into obesity. So we are saying that obesity is also a risk factor. Why is it a risk factor? When you put on so much weight, there are 2 or 3 things that can happen. Excess body fat increases inflammation in your system. The fat will trigger, let me put it, soreness in your body. So as this inflammation go on, plaques can be formed. Substances can be formed, and these things can line inside your blood vessel and then lead to atherosclerosis that I talked about. Secondly, high fat intake too can lead to high cholesterol in your system, which bounces back to the atherosclerosis. And then high fat or high body fat also gives you insulin resistance. When I talk of insulin resistance, the pancreas produces insulin that regulates our sugar or our carbohydrates or the food we eat. Smoking is a common risk factor, as we all know, especially smoking tobacco or cigarettes. There is this ingredient in the cigarette called nicotine that has the potency of constricting blood vessel, number 1. 2, the nicotine can as well form plaques that will further block the blood vessels, complicating the system. Another risk factor is excessive alcohol intake and hard drugs. Hard drugs, as we all know, some are stimulants, some cause constriction of vessels, some affect nerves. Alcohol affects nerves. So the nerves supplying your heart can be affected. The nerves supplying your legs, your hands, can be affected. And all this can lead to cardiovascular diseases and stroke. Another factor is high salt intake. High salt intake. You know, when you take salt in excess, chemically, sodium ions will enter into your bloodstream. And what it does is it activates our kidneys. We call a system in the kidney called the RAS system, the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, where with the experience of high salt intake, the renin will be secreted by the kidneys. This renin will further stimulates the production of something we call angiotensin 1 and 2, which is a potent vasoconstrictor. Potent vasoconstrictor means it constricts our blood vessels just by the influence of the high salt intake. So if you constrict it, there is narrowing of your vessels, there is pressure in your blood vessels, and can predispose you to getting cardiovascular disease. Again, aldosterone is also produced when the body sensitizes high salt intake. Aldosterone is produced from the adrenal glands, which is sitting on our kidneys. Aldosterone stimulation causes water retention. It will pull water from your system into your blood. So it will increase your blood volume, further increasing the pressure in your vessels. If the pressure goes high, you are liable to get a stroke or a heart attack or all those types of cardiovascular diseases that I mentioned. Another risk factor is physical inactivity, sedentary lifestyle, no walking, no exercising. You move from your office, inside a car, high AC car, right from your car into your house, you eat bingely, right after eating, you sleep. If you don't exercise physically, there's a tendency that you're going to accumulate fat, you're going to accumulate plaques. You are not going to exercise your blood vessels and your nerves to be pushing the blood to enhance circulation. So all these things, we should take note of it. Another risk factor is family history or family predisposition. There is this genetic predisposition of cardiovascular diseases. What I mean by this is some chronic illnesses run in families. That one, you may not have anything to do about it because you are part of the gene. The gene made you up. So if you have this family predisposition or family history, then you need to take very good care of yourself. Else, automatically, you develop these cardiovascular diseases and stroke.